Welcome to the channel. New year, new job. We're currently in between, at the point of filming anyway, in between Christmas and New Year 2024. The brickwork has already been done near as damage up to brickwork, up to wall plate, sorry. But I'm here with Craig the Sparky today to get rid of the remaining electrics that were in the old utility before we knocked it down to put up the new brickwork. So let's have a look. When I say we're nearly up to wall plate, at the moment we are having posi joists, steel metal web joist. Hello, Craig. Little hand gesture there. So we're going to be putting a ledger plate on the wall at this point in time. We've got to get them back again to redesign because I think we're too close to that soffit. But anyway, we shall see. And I'll talk you through that and we can look at that and I'll tell you all about it as I learn it. But at this point in time, as I just said, we're going to come from here onto there, so there's going to be a wall plate on top of here. And then what we do, so I haven't got a large soffit, is I then build the external brickwork up to the point, the top of the posi joists, which means, yes, you've got more brickwork above your windows. However, you haven't got a large 300mm soffit or so, which I think looks absolutely dog toffee. This is going to be a kitchen extension. And round here was where the old utility was. As you can sort of see there, sort of painted wall there and a bit of a plate on the wall that was the old flat roof. And there's some electrics here, but we couldn't do it until now, or we couldn't get here till now, because we've got to turn all of the electrics off in the house. Another day of discovery then. So we're at a point where we've stripped all this, we've found where everything is and what's doing. We're now isolating, because he did the rest of it live by putting Wagos on, just to keep the house on, because he decided that there was no point causing that much trouble inside, turning everything off when there was no need. So there we are. So then we didn't film anything. So this is going to be turned off now. That's just going to be glanded into the bottom there for now to give us our feed. This is only temporary. It just means that we've got an outside socket for now and we can maintain the house, because this is fed from the other side. We thought it was a ring, but it isn't. We believe it's just been fed from a socket the other side of this wall. We haven't actually checked yet, because we've only just got into the property and then it was feeding everything. And also, again, discovery, all this armoured and the outside lighting and God knows what was all fed from a 1.5mm from that board into this. So yeah, so Craig's gonna have to sort all that out as well, because that isn't ideal, should we say. it was obviously done the way it was done for reasons unknown to us, but we can't leave it like that, so we will sort it and do it right. So the job on a very windy but dry day is well underway again. The wall plates have all gone on and we have now had our delivery of metal web joists, or posi joists, or whatever you want to call them. So we've got a plan together. Once the wall plates have gone off a little bit, we'll start setting these posi joists out and forming the structure for this roof. What I'm doing now is, well, we wait a little bit longer for the compound to go off. It's going off well, but we don't want to start touching it just yet. The plan you can see on screen now is what the truss company give us for these metal web joists, and there's a definitive pattern in way you're meant to install them. So what I'm doing now is I've found my centre, because we want the skylight, which is 2.5 by 1.5, to be in the centre of this area. So I've obviously found the centre of my building from front to back. And then I'm working out then, and I know it's 1.5 metres wide, so I've done that, and then I'll start setting these out. I also know that these are 400 centres, which then allows us to span from here to over there. Now, I talked about earlier in the video about going from front to back, which is what we thought may happen because we were worried about this height. However, they've come back to us and said, no, we'll keep it as it is, we'll increase the width, and then we'll reduce the centres from 6 to 4. That's why we've been able to carry on going this way, which works better because we've already got it in our minds that's what we're doing. Hence, you can see the block work here is already slightly higher anyway. So I'll continue doing this, set all these joists out, and then it is as simple as bringing them up here, putting them on top, and putting a nail in them temporarily to hold them down. You've just seen me set out the joists using the drawing. Bit of a messing around this end because we tried to centralise the 750 by 750 skylight in this position, in this little corridor bit. So we've done that now. What we've got to do now is this timber is supplied by the truss company and it's got to be bolted onto this wall. The only difference with this is, unlike a normal ledger plate where you put your timber against it and put your jiffy hangers around it, what happens with this is, and you'll see it shortly, is the posi joists have got an extended top chord. So a top and bottom and the metal bit in the middle. The top one is extended the thickness of this timber. And what happens is you have to set this timber to your wall plate level as it sits there, and then the top chord goes on and then sits on top of it. So that's what we've got to pay attention to. However, I have noticed that this is slightly not as deep as the actual internal size of the posi joist. Again, I'm not going to waffle, I'll show you, but we've got to move this up 2 mil just to make sure it's all nice and level. Then what I've done is, using the marks on my wall plate, I've then transferred the marks onto here so I know where all my joist positions are. And the reason for that is because when I put my bolts in, what I don't want is to go ahead, rattle my bolts on. When I come to put my joist on, my bolts are sticking out because I'm using through bolts, which is the ones where you drill your hole and you knock it in and tighten it up. So you can't countersink it, other like bolts I've used previously on the channel in the past 2 episodes, where I just get the concrete screws. Because it was brick, I didn't know they got a frog or anything in them. I thought I'd get them instead. At least I can put extra in if I think I haven't got a good fixing. And you know with these, if you haven't got it, when you start to tighten it, it just pulls out, so you know 100%. So that's why we've done that. So what we'll do now is we'll get this onto their level, bottom of it level to this, and then we can mark then on here and pre-drill, get to our brick. So all bar our intermediates there for the skylight and intermediates here for the lantern, and then of course we could put the remaining 2 posi joists in here, both sides. This is done, they're all fixed. The only slight issue was there on the drawing that I'd paid no attention to, so I take full responsibility. They'd actually done a 550 square, not a 750 square. However, I have spoke to them because they manufactured a 550 to go in between there to be joist tongue. They have said I can put a double 9x2 either side instead, to stretch it out to 750 instead, and still use the same joist hangers. And they said that we're perfectly happy with that. What we have had to do, as you can see, we put all these clips as per instructions on the side of there, just to hold those down. You can see over there those ones just literally sit on the top chord. Now I've got to confirm, I think he said I've got to use one of these, but where you can see it split there, look, I think it fixes onto the side and then bends down and fixes onto the top of the plate and onto the side of that. But that only gives me 2 nails, maybe 1 in the side then. I've got to confirm that. I wasn't listening. But other than that, he said, yes, go ahead and nail them all. So I've double nailed all of these, both sides, so they are set in position. Double nail the top chord over there. So like I said, we are good to go. So tomorrow, because we're losing light a bit now, we've had dodging rain and doing things in the background today, i.e. organising other materials. So we'll get this complete tomorrow, and then we can talk about how you work out your fall on a flat roof and how the best way to do it is, in my opinion, it's not the only way, it's just the way I do it, so that's why I like to share it with you, of how to divert your water from either side of your lantern so you don't get any water at the back of your lanterns or your skylights. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about upstands that you've got to have minimum 150 above your highest point. We'll talk about all that, but I'll leave that until the morning. Very nice day today.
Lovely day. Enjoyed every minute.
we've got all the remaining joists in now, and also, which is great, we didn't really realise until they were delivered, that what the company have actually done, they've actually sent me an upstand as well. So even though it's not going to be quite high enough, I've only got to build off it a little bit just to get my absolute height, which is, as you know, is 150 from the highest point of your roof, 150 above for snow loading, which is going to be at this point anyway. So it may be that this front is perfect because this has got to be perfectly level. It hasn't got to have any kind of pitch on it like you would do with a flat glass. So we've got all that in. We've got them all jiffy hung. Just going to bend these last ones over now and put the pins in. Now we're all done. I've got then squared all of this in from corner to corner. You may have seen us faffing around with that because I want to try and get it 100% square. And then what we've done is, because we've got brickwork there, but I didn't want to disturb this too much because we could have run bricks through like we are here. We're going to come up to this point with the bricks like Luke has started over there, again in the rain. I've run across here, level onto the top of this. So this bit of frame I've made up there, like a bit of 3x2 frame, is level with the top of these joists now. So what I can do is when I start putting my diminishing battens on, which I've already talked about, is going to be 2 end on 3x2, so give us 145mm that end, and then come all the way through, diminishing all the way through, and I'll talk about that in a minute, how we're going to do that. Stepped off the roof and stead on his bricks. Look, he's only just put them in. I think I'll be buying the sandwiches tomorrow, I reckon.
Huh? You talking to me?
No, mate, no. I'm just showing how nice the brickwork's gone through.
Oh, thanks, Rich.
All right, no worries, mate, no worries. Structure is now complete. I put all my clips on. You can see there. That's what he explained to me to do, was bend it down the face like that, and then bend one of the wings over and fix it to the top of the ledger plate. So that's what I've done, and that's as per manufacturer's design. Again, because we had to change the size of this, rather than being a 750 now, I've now decided to go 750 this way, 500 this way, internally. Myself and Luke had a bit of a chat, and then I spoke to the rubber roof specialist who's going to come and fit the roof for us, and we were concerned about that gap there and how far away from the wall it would have been if it had been 750. He was concerned about the fact, well, and I was, when the glass overhangs, it's only going to be that far away from the wall, 25mm, which isn't good enough really. We're then going to think about him being able to get in there and waterproof it properly, put the adhesive on, put the upstand on, put the rubber up. So I thought, you know what, for the sake of less glass, I'd rather make sure this is watertight. I've started this one off. This has been glued, as you can see, all the glue down there, look. And then it's been 120mm screw, so nigh on 5-inch screws into this, 5 of them into that and into here, and then 5 into the top one, and then glued. That is, I can't tell you how solid it is because this glue is superb. Now what I've done, I've then gone along, look, and dipped it all the way along from my line down to the respective joist, making sure that I do it in exactly the same place, i.e. I've put my measurement there because I've dipped the front with my tape measure. That makes a difference, because if you measure 113mm there and put it there, by the fact that this line is sort of doing that, it's bigger at the back. However, if you dip it at the front, if when you pull your string line through, it could have done with being 114 mil. You can, sorry, if it's too big, sorry, you can afford to pull it back a little bit and then make sure it sits nice and flat. And likewise, if it's a little bit small, which is only going to be a mil, you can pull it forward a touch. So that's what I like to do. And I've done that all the way across, all the way down. Up to this point, I'll just cut 1440s, which is what the length of that is there, and overhang this all the same. So this then gives me my lovely overhang. When I get to here, I'll start cutting long lengths, and I'll go all the way through. I've got a fern strip at the back of this to push it away from the lantern, and then carrying around here. As you can see, Luke is continuing on with the brickwork all the way through. He's had to repair a mistake he made about here somewhere. Somehow, I don't know what, he'd used his banana, I suppose, at break time to put that brick here. I don't know what he'd done, but has he fixed it now, Luke? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know, there was like a size 9 footprint on the top of it though.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know where that had come from, so...
I'm an 8.
An 8,
No, what I've done there, look, you can see that one there is 20 millimetres. So I pulled my line across the top of this brick, dipped it there to 20 mil. So I know now when I run my plywood all the way through, it sits on top of this brick. Now what we are going to do is we will cut blocks and put it to this string line. What you should do, you should make sure that all inside perimeter is all sealed. You shouldn't have any means of getting to any cold air from the room into the cavity, but I'll go through all of that on the channel, exactly how we do it. But it involves insulation going on top of the wall plate and making sure that all these perimeters are all right to the top, the underside of your plywood, and then I normally foam all that when I put my plywood down. Important things we've got to do. If you don't do that, it's not a warm roof, it's just a expensive cold roof. But we will go through it all in detail if you're interested. So I'm going to crack on now and start cutting my timber. And then we might have a cup of coffee. Should we have a cup of coffee?
Oh yeah.
Let's do that.
I wake up in the morning in this great blue state. Golden fingers caress my face. Slips through the window on a silky breeze. A dreamer's land to plant some seeds. She's my believer, healing all my doubts. A lighted mirror, reflecting out every true potential. A bedrock belief, an elaborate plot to set this bird free. Every element is based, every color there's a text. She paints pictures blue and green, and I release them to the sea. For the ancient memories, just as fleeting as a breeze. She paints pictures blue and green, and I release them to the sea.
Where have I put? All right, these are the brackets that I used there. Hello. Yeah, what do you want to use it for, mate? You want to use what? You can. We've done a bit since I last spoke because we had such a good day yesterday because the sunshine was out, just like it is today, and we didn't say anything else and we just cracked on. So I'm going to talk you through it very quickly and then we'll carry on with something else, which is going to be putting the plywood on. However, that may or may not be next episode based on how far into this episode we are already. You can see we put all the bits on there. I've just made up this end here because a 4.8 metre length I wanted to go overhang. I'll tell you why in a minute. We've come from 75 mil from this end. If you remember, around the corner there it's 150, so when we get to here it's 75 and it diminishes because if you remember, we pulled the string line from the far side over the brick this end and I measured down, so that's where we are now. You would have just caught me checking all of these on the time-lapse camera, or I hope you did. If you didn't, all I've done, because you can see I've cut my fern strip on the brickwork as well, we talked about, and I've stuck it down with this. And if you don't believe how strong it is, I'll show you in a minute, because it is ridiculous. It even says no need for mechanical fixings on that. I weighted it down now just to make sure it sticks, and that is perfect. I've then got my profile and run it along and checked it so it hits all of these positions to make sure this isn't high. I was a little bit high there, just when I cut it on my saw, because I free-handed it, and I planed a little bit off. So this is all perfectly flat, and when I run the profile across, it's lovely. In fact, I'll prove it to you. So what we've got, that all sits on there now, look, if you can see it. And that all sits nice onto these. And run all these through, look. It sits on there all the way down to the end. So when I start putting the plywood on now, it's an easy job, there's no messing. We're going to overhang the plywood over here by about 30mm, and then we're going to trip a little trim underneath there and fascia on that. You would have caught in a bit of time lapse that Luke has completed all the brickwork all the way around the edge, and now you can see what I'm saying, and done the internal block work we talked about. So this comes over here, we foam on top of here and on top of there, completely seal it, and then the fascia is only as big as the height of the insulation and the 2 lot supply, which is what's that, 1129 180mm, so, and that's it, rather than being a big 350 from all the way down here, which is what some people do. They'll do it from the bottom, from the wall plate, look down there, and it'll be sort of this high, which just looks absolutely terrible. So this is how I like to do it. We've also been round and we put the insulation, cavity insulation, all the way up to the top now, even though we don't need to, because I've still got to go in between there, as we've already talked about, to insulate it anyway. Brickwork is done all the way around here. Again, insulation's done. Fern strip again, and I've checked all this. So this side, I've cut all these off now, so we are parallel with this. Even though it doesn't look parallel to the garage, we are parallel to this brickwork now, and we are still within the boundary, which is what my concern was, keeping within that boundary. So all these are cut off in line. So this, we'll put the upstands on here, which we'll show you shortly, or next episode, as I've just said. And we'll start putting the insulation once the plywood goes on, or the first base layer. Luke is just doing the blocks here. So again, we'll foam on top of that block and run the plywood all the way through, and then this roof will then come over the top of it with the drip edge and come down past it to encapsulate that, which is going to be, in all honesty, the weak point. So we'll have to make sure we do that. I believe he's coming today anyway to talk to us, so I'll be able to tell you more information as soon as I know it. So there we are. So you're going to finish that, are you?
Nearly.
And then plywood.
Plywood? Yep.
Only thing I haven't done is under there is our 750 by 500 now glass. I normally put that on first, like I do that. However, what I thought was, if I put this onto here after, because it's so tight, put it in now, sorry, it's going to be a pain to work around. So I'm going to make a little bit more work for myself, but make it easier now. Put the plywood on, cut around the hole, and then I'll manufacture my upstand plumb and level and square on top of the deck, albeit I know it's sloped, but it just means that because I've got to put a slope on the flat glass anyway, I'll just do that, make a 150. But what I don't want is the joist to come up like that, and then it cocks over and then comes up like that if I do a 150 box. So I'll just manufacture it plumb and then make this side higher than this side when I manufacture it, whereas normally you do a square one like that on the level and then put fern strips on top. However, it's more than likely this is the end of the episode now, because I think we've already gone on long enough in terms of time for this episode. Next, you've got a bit of bonus footage that I've got from Matt, who's currently still at the job where we were for the first 2 episodes on this channel, and he's been boarding and dabbing and tacking, what have you, getting ready for skimming. So next, Matt's going to show you around that to show you his progress, and then hopefully within the next couple of episodes, his face will be back with me and Luke working together, hopefully. So thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and the like. It really supports the channel. See you next time. As you can see, a bit more progress. The scaffolders have been this morning to take this corner down, so it gives us access to put the window in there and there, which the customer is going to be doing, and that allows me then to start dabbing and dry lining. If we go inside, we'll have a look at that, how that progress is going. We've completed that now, so the hammer fixings went into the end of the laths that run true, that we added. You can just see them there. We added the laths across there to bring this in line with that wall into that corridor where the door is going to go there. A little bit more boring to do in here, but this is all lagged.
this is now completed, and the Sparky has got all of his tails in now, so that can be skimmed. This is where we're on about dabbing and getting that sorted once this window goes in. The other one I'm not going to do because there's somebody working there. Been busy on here getting all of this acoustic boarded with the acoustic insulation inside, absolutely ram jam packed, just so we don't get any sound from that corridor into this lounge. Now, it will be a little bit dark, but that wall is now done, so both sides, and then there will be some more over that side there. Now, there we go. So I put a board just so I can run my acoustic boards up to the top, so that seals that. All nice and straight, so when I come to board this ceiling, when Corby's back from his jollies, we can just run that all the way through. There's a small gap across the top there, so the board will fit over the top, and then we'll bring them all 8x4s all the way through. And as much as I like to lift 8x4 sheets, I'm not going to do this on my own. So a little bit more progress, and I'm about to get my previously cut timbers now all lathed and hammer fixed across there, so then I can dab the end of the wall and it's all nice and straight. As you can see, moved on quite a little bit. I've since then, off camera, because it is a bit boring, but maybe I should have shown you. These insulating boards have all gone on. So it's a 37mm insulated board, foamed in, beads are on, I'm all taped. Move the camera around nice and gently. That nasty chimney wall where we had multiple levels has all been dabbed and is as flat as a pancake, depending on how you do your pancakes. Then this in here with another window is exactly the same, with all the insulated boards around, beaded, dabbed, and then we'll go into the little room, which is our mini storeroom. That is all now dabbed and boarded. You haven't seen that just yet. Now, walking through, insulating boards you'd seen, sorry, acoustic boards you'd seen. Hello, Corby.
Good morning.
Back from his jollies. So, Corby has been working hard on getting all this filled. So, there's 400mm on top of that, and then 100mm in between the joists, which is obviously held up by the laths. Sparky's got all of his cables in, ready for the pendants, and we're just going to finish this side off before we then start chucking up the 8x4s. And, just like that, you can just see the edge of the battens, which are all hammer fixed, nice and level. You might just see the ends of the packers, just where I've had to bring that out. And then, I've just dropped the boards on, get them out of the way. We still have an absolute load there for the ceiling. And apart from that, sorry about the shadows, but it is a little bit dark. So let's get on to throwing some pink on. Right everyone, thank you for watching a very brief sort of update. You'll see just what we've been getting on with this week. You see the pink's pretty much dry from yesterday. We're going to go into the lounge where Corby's done all the lagging, and we're going to board that ceiling, get a few little bits and pieces ready for next week's Skimfest. So there'll be pink catapulted everywhere. So from me and Corby here at the bungalow build, it's goodbye for now. Back over to Rich and Luke.